A cold night in Beijing, November 14th, 1995. The roads around China's capital were almost empty. According to a famous story that has circulated online for years, bus route 375 began its final journey at around 10 p.m. At first, the bus had only a driver and a female conductor. Along the way, several passengers boarded, a woman, a young boy, and a married couple. Everything seemed completely normal, but a short distance later, 3 people appeared by the side of the road. The bus stopped for them. All 3 were dressed in long, old-fashioned clothing, and none of them spoke to anyone. The strangest part was that 2 of them were holding a third man between them. His long hair covered his face and he appeared almost unconscious. The bus continued on its way. A short time later, the married couple got off at their stop. Now only the driver, the conductor, the older woman, the young boy, and the 3 mysterious passengers remained on board. Then the older woman noticed something that terrified her. According to the story, the wind lifted the strange passengers' long clothing slightly, and the woman couldn't see their feet. But she didn't tell anyone immediately. Instead, she suddenly began shouting at the young boy, accusing him of stealing her money. The boy was shocked and repeatedly insisted that he hadn't stolen anything. But the woman refused to listen. She told the driver to stop the bus and claimed that she was taking the boy to a police station. Eventually, the 2 of them got off the bus. The bus left them behind and continued into the dark night. The boy was angry and asked the woman why she had falsely accused him of stealing. That's when, according to the story, she told him, "I just saved your life." She explained that the 3 strange passengers on the bus didn't seem like ordinary human beings. She had looked beneath their clothing, and she hadn't seen any feet. But the real mystery was only beginning. According to the legend, Bus 375 never reached its final destination that night. When the bus failed to return, a search was launched. And in the most widely circulated version of the urban legend, the bus was found about 2 days later in a reservoir or canal. Inside, investigators supposedly discovered the bodies of the driver, the female conductor, and an unidentified man. But the 2 mysterious passengers were nowhere to be found. That's when the story of Bus 375 became one of China's most frightening urban legends. December 3, 2008, a baby boy named Garnett Spears was born in the United States. From the beginning, he suffered from repeated health problems. He was frequently taken to the hospital, while his mother, Lacey Spears, shared updates about his illness and hospital stays on social media. People began to feel sorry for the mother, but no one suspected that something much darker could be hiding behind the story. Over time, doctors discovered dangerously high levels of sodium in Garnett's body. His condition became so serious that he had to be hospitalized. In January 2014, his condition suddenly became critical, and doctors began investigating the unusually high sodium levels in his system. Then, on January 23, 2014, 5-year-old Garnett died. At first, it appeared to be a mysterious medical death, but as the investigation continued, doctors began to suspect that this wasn't a normal illness. Hospital records and video footage provided evidence that prosecutors alleged showed Lacey giving her son a potentially lethal amount of sodium through his feeding tube. Investigators also found feeding bags and large quantities of sodium-related materials at her home and elsewhere. And that's when investigators began to see a deeply disturbing picture. Prosecutors argued that Lacey had deliberately made her son sick in order to receive sympathy and attention on social media. She had repeatedly shared Garnett's illnesses and hospital visits online. The case eventually went to court. Lacey maintained that she was innocent, while the defense also raised the possibility of medical negligence at the hospital. But prosecutors argued that the dangerously high level of sodium in Garnett's body had been deliberately caused by his mother. Then on March 2, 2015, a jury found Lacey Spears guilty of second-degree murder in the death of her 5-year-old son. And just a few weeks later, on April 8, 2015, the court sentenced her to 20 years to life in prison. A mother who should have been her child's greatest protector was ultimately found responsible for deliberately making her son sick and eventually for his death. March 14, 1989. 21-year-old American college student Mark Kilroy suddenly disappeared while spending spring break in Matamoros, Mexico. Mark was from Santa Fe, Texas, and attended the University of Texas. That night, he had been out with friends, but at some point he became separated from them, and then he was never seen again. What began as a missing person case soon became an international investigation involving Mexican and American authorities. Then nearly a month later, on April 9, 1989, Mexican police followed a suspicious vehicle to a remote ranch known as Rancho Santa Elena. They had expected to find drugs or weapons. Instead, investigators uncovered something far more disturbing. Along with drugs and weapons, police found evidence connected to human sacrifice. Interrogations led investigators to a group led by a man named Adolfo Constanzo. Constanzo and his followers practiced a bizarre belief system involving occult rituals. They believed that human sacrifices could give them protection and help shield their drug trafficking operation from the police. Investigators began digging around the ranch, and slowly, graves began appearing. Multiple bodies were discovered in and around the property, and one of the victims was identified as Mark Kilroy. Investigators concluded that Mark had been kidnapped and murdered by members of the group as part of their ritualistic practices. But Mark was not the only victim. Police discovered that the group had killed several other people, most of them Mexican citizens. Mark's case received enormous attention because he was an American college student whose disappearance had triggered an international search. Now investigators had another target, Adolfo Constanzo. But Constanzo had already gone into hiding. For weeks, he managed to evade authorities. Then on May 6, 1989, police located his hideout in Mexico City. Constanzo and his followers opened fire, leading to a tense standoff with police. But Constanzo apparently had no intention of being captured alive. According to investigators, he ordered one of his followers to shoot him, and that's how the leader of this terrifying group met his end, at the hands of his own follower. September 2023, Minot, North Dakota. Stephen Riley was living with his longtime partner, Ina Knoyer, when he received shocking news. He was told that a relative in Ireland had died and left him an inheritance worth nearly $30 million. Stephen began making plans for his future. According to investigators, he was also planning to leave Ina once he received the money. But when Ina learned about the inheritance, everything changed. Investigators said she believed she would be entitled to the money as Stephen's common-law wife. But North Dakota does not recognize common-law marriage. Then came September 3, 2023. Stephen went to the airport expecting to meet a lawyer who was supposedly helping him with the inheritance. But the lawyer never showed up. Soon afterwards, Stephen became seriously ill. He was taken to the hospital, and his condition continued to deteriorate. On September 5, 2023, Stephen Riley died. At first, his death raised questions among his friends. They told police they suspected he had been poisoned with antifreeze. Medical testing revealed a deadly level of ethylene glycol, the primary toxic ingredient in antifreeze. Investigators searched the home and found antifreeze in several containers, including a mug and an old Windex bottle. Then came the biggest twist. The $30 million inheritance wasn't real. Investigators found no credible evidence that Stephen was actually going to receive such an inheritance. The lawyer, the money, and the entire story Stephen had believed in were part of a scam. In other words, Stephen had lost his life over money that never existed. Ina Knoyer later pleaded guilty to Stephen's murder. In October 2024, she was sentenced to 50 years, including 25 years in prison, followed by a suspended sentence and supervised probation, a fake inheritance, a fortune that never existed, and a real life lost because of it.